You remember the first booklet out on Syria in 1982, right? Relations between Syria and Iran. I have the book, I have two of them left, in fact. In those days, nobody understood how could these Arabs, right, Ba'athis, support Iran. How could these Ba'athis allow Pastoran to go through Syria and then come to Lebanon and establish in the 80s Hezbollah, the most effective fighting force on the ground, anti-Zionist force in the world today? More innovative, more up to date. If they take a blow, don't you worry, they're going to come back with something tomorrow. Innovative, up to date, ability to fight on the ground and fight the one that everybody else is scared of. Okay? We have suffered martyrdom in Bahrain, in so-called Saudi Arabia, executions, and in the eastern provinces. But the eastern provinces are getting stronger every day. Eastern provinces of Saudi Arabia. Okay. So wherever you look in the world, well, you look in that part of the world, you look at the respect that Iran has gained in the world today. Everybody know, and it's not just related to this hemisphere. When the allies that Iran has, example Venezuela, right? And you see what they're suffering. Venezuela, a few years back, they gave away free heating stuff for America, right? During Hugo Chavez's time. America ain't never gave nobody else nothing free, right? Or reduced price. Okay, they don't have to talk about that. Don't worry. Do good if it kills you. Do good if it kills you. Where the world that we're living in today, and it's time now for us to go back to work. To do what? Right smack dab in the middle of everything. I know there in California, y'all might have had some views of what's been going on. Let me explain on the surface what's been going on. You might look at us and you've seen the police and you've seen all kind of things going on in Oakland. You've seen them sell our property and they've seen them do all this stuff. Well, we'll take care of all of that. And we encourage that. Yes, we did. We encourage every bit of it, including selling our property. You have to remember that here in D.C. we own 8 pieces of property. Out there we own 3 huge pieces of property, right? So we own that. The government got tired of us. Everything that the government did with us, it tried to integrate us into the movement, it tried to infiltrate us. No, it didn't try, it did infiltrate us. So it was one time when 99% of the movement was infiltrators. That sounds like everybody. Well, it's a surprise to you. It ain't no surprise to us. Everybody in Oakland, everybody that you guys used to see in Oakland, everybody from day one. The only one that was not the police was the dear brother right here. That's it. And in the early years, my dear sons. But in later years, they got hooked up too, but don't worry about it. So, we would like to have when we come out there next few weeks, we're going to pass out these DVDs. We're going to pass out these DVDs out at Saba Center and look them over. And then what I want y'all to do is those that support what we're saying, I know some of you are here and got a little comfortable, but those that still have a little, little fight left, we want you to form pools of support, physical support, cash support. We don't need no checks. They've been so strange with us that you can't cash checks under Masjid al-Islam anymore because they gave our property, which you can't do, but that's okay. That's okay. You got to remember. I just want to make a quick interjection here. We had to study the world, and we studied it carefully. And we saw that if you can encourage the United States of America to move closer to the Zionist functioning principles, right, then you can get them to do anything. So everything that happened to us in the last several years have been on the Zionist principles, right? On the Zionist principles, everything that's been happening. So what do the Zionists do? The Americans will try to pretend and try to keep, they won't keep within any framework, but they won't just out in the open many times, except when they want to make an example. They won't just come out in the open right on the street and just mow everybody down. When you see George Floyd murdered publicly over that long a period of time, that's a Zionist principle. It's a Zionist principle. That means to us that the United States police forces have been thoroughly taken over, and it started back. Therefore, what did we have to do? We had to go directly against the Zionists. And that's what we did. That's over 10 years ago. And that's why we said very clear. Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. All we had to do was name, we don't have to do a whole lot. You just name it, and you'll get them rolling. Right? You have to use what you have. You don't have a whole lot, so you use what you have. We've used it very effectively. You tease, not boss man. Boss man is the American government. The Zionists are different. The Zionists are real card-carrying Zionists. They hate everybody in the world, and sometimes including each other. But they know the rule. They will stick together against you because let's not get into name calling, but Goyim, whatever that means, that's you. Huh? Yeah. I'm telling you. Now, how can the Zionists do so much against the people? The Zionists have very close to original scripture. They have Torah, and it tells them in there what to fight. And all they do is use everything in the Torah against you. Right? You go to a spy movie, all the spy movies have a beautiful lady enticing everybody, right? So the Hadith say the same thing. The biggest challenge left behind is girls, right? For boys, and the biggest challenge left behind for girls is boys. It's just the way it is. Okay, all right. So what's been their biggest failure with us, with our As-Sabiqun, is that it ain't never worked. And that is a shock. They sitting there shocked and paralyzed right now. because they'd never seen a Negro in history to do no 14, 15 years of strict celibacy. But all the time we was running around back in those days, y'all remember, I slept right in the Masjid every night, and that's where it was. It don't matter who called on the phone. Imam Musa, could you come by and pick me up? There's a white lady. And it's pouring down rain. So I call you a cab, but I ain't come and pick you up and take you nowhere. If a Negro want to do wrong, you listen to all the music. That's when you do right. In the wee hours when it's pouring down rain. Right? That's what the music say. It had a little truth to it. So anyway, that has been the case. We have beaten Boss Man on every, just slap him around. Why? Because he didn't expect it. He didn't expect we isolate this Negro and cut him off from friends, family, he's going to go crazy. Well, it ain't worked like that. We didn't run Boss Man. Yes, we have run him crazy. He don't make no sense. Look at it, what he's doing. Who's winning, us or them? Boss Man don't make no sense. Does he? Right now. In the news? Where is it? Which part of the news makes sense? In organization? In economy? Certain rules of economy have to hold up sooner or later. You can't loan out more money than you're able to pay back in a reasonable time at a reasonable. Now, the United States is in so much debt, nobody else could get in that much debt. They're in debt, and they slowed down? Since we've been talking, they've speeded up. Debt crisis. Speed it up. Pour on no coal. Right? Everything. Climate crisis. Pour on more coal. Right? The boy, look, if you wanted to live in scriptural time, you're living in it. The people of the past, the people of old, the dumb things they did, they had clear signs everywhere, right? And they kept right on driving. How could they do that? You're living in it. This is strange to be living in that, because that we used to call it a trip. Like, this is actually a trip. Although we forecast everything that we forecast, write it down, that boss man gonna do this week, next week he gonna do that, it's still a trip. It's a trip. A trip means that it's not a surprise, but it's a trip. And when I use the word trip, it means like, this is really happening. You know it's going to happen. We know what we're going to do when it happens, how it happens. We already understand that, but it's still a trip. It's a trip. Well, I'll be doggone. Brother Abdul Haq and I used to call it, what did we used to call it? We used to call it the Abidam effect. We would talk about a subject in detail, and then they would do it. You say, I'll be damned. Right? It's the I'll be damned effect. It's not I be damned, but I be damned is what black people say. It's quick. I be damned. Like we say yesterday, we used to. Yesterday, yesterday. That's what my parents, they didn't say yesterday, They said yesterday. It's just speed it up. Yesterday. Anyway, not to get into colored linguistics. Who we are, what we're doing, we're out to change the world, and we are changing it. Don't you worry. We're changing the world. Where are we doing it? We're doing it here in America. The Islamic Republic, don't You may say, he talks about that like it's great. Well, it is great. You, you've been here and for certain reasons, no problem. There has never been in history a country that have faced so many challenges consistently, so many. It was just another one last night, or some ship out there, just all the time, every day, right? But you notice, hey, Iran is standing up, and they playing the game right. They're not going to let them stick them in a war, but they're not going to be outdone either. So if they did certain things to Iran, well, Iran just did certain other things. So what country is going to shoot down $1 zillion, one of them big drones?